Welcome back to the channel, folks, and today I am going to talk about the line that everybody loves to hate, but secretly a lot of people actually like to collect. This, as I recall, was pretty much the last hurrah of the G1 era, and I certainly don't have the entire line, but I picked out a selection to look at here. This is I guess we could call it an overview of the line known as Transformers Action Masters. Stick around and we're going to unearth what that means in the latest GotBot True Review. Okay, folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. Check out the Everything Factor Machinery Man. Please like, comment, subscribe, check me out everywhere, all of that good stuff. And we're going to get right into this. This was a line that came out toward the end of the G1 era, as I am recalling. These guys do not transform. But the idea was that they were going to be modeled a lot more after their animation counterparts, and most times they succeeded. It was a very controversial line because they were Transformers that didn't transform, and there was even a fiction behind it, with the idea being that Optimus Prime, I think, went into a black hole and found a new energy source called Nucleon that made Transformers stronger and faster and more alive, but they lost their ability to transform, and they put that ability over into partners and accessories. I always found it a bit strange that they lost their ability to transform, yet Bumblebee still has car parts hanging off him. Jazz still has a car chest. But then we got some new characters, and we'll get into those as we go through. So I'm going to remove these for now, and kind of just briefly talk about each one as we go through. As you can probably guess, these are not going to get the best scores, folks. These are not going to get the best scores. Take him out of it. And the first one that I got was this guy. It is Soundwave with his little minion wing thing. Let me bring that in closer. It was Soundwave with his little minion wing thing. I am missing a wing for wing thing. Since she's not here, I'm going to blame my mother for the loss of that wing. I don't know. It was probably me, to be honest with you. But, hey, she's a good scapegoat because she's not here to dispute it. Got to love passing the buck. Now, I got this guy because, believe it or not, as a kid, I never had Soundwave. And this was the only version of Soundwave that I ever had. And I said, okay, well, I can kind of buy a wing thing. He's a bat. Now he's supposed to have two wings. I used to call him Rat Bat, even though he's not. And his little gimmick is that you pull back on his tail. And when you pull back on his tail, his gun piece pops out, and there was a weapon piece that Soundwave had that would go in the front and make this a huge weapon. There's a little 3mm peg here, and that goes into his hand, and there you go. You have, you know, a Soundwave with wing thing. So we're gonna take him out of it for now. Transformation, 0. Great big goose egg for his transformation because he doesn't transform. Although me being me, I tried to, I guess, fan mode something even as a kid where I would turn the guy's head around and I'd put his arms back and I brought his legs out to the side and his legs out to the side, and I turned them and bent the knee up. Now I'm not turning them and bending the knee up now, but it kind of made a rectangular shape. Why am I not doing that? Well, the guy is pretty old and there is a little problem with him. This happens. His leg tends to come off the ball joint, and as a kid I tried very, very hard to get it back on the first time it came off, to the point where I really kind of stretched the plastic of the little I don't know what you call it, the socket that the metallic ball joint goes in, and it goes on, but it's pretty loose and you have to be quite careful with it. I haven't had that much trouble with this guy in years. Now, stand up. Normally he stands pretty good. Like I said, transformation of 0. Paint apps, honestly, I thought the paint apps were pretty good on this guy. I'd give him a 9. Missing a few little touches probably in the middle of his body, and the eyes, his visor for some reason was pink. I never really understood that, but come on, there was no mistaking that it was Soundwave. In fact, I think it was thinking back to that guy that made me love this guy when he came out. And this is the Fall of Cybertron version. And you can see the sound waviness of both of these guys. By the way, I looked at that Soundwave way back in episode 106. In all of his detail, so we'll take him out of it for now. By the way, the posability, playability, I didn't really show it with him. I'll show it with other ones because those legs are in rough shape. His particular posability, playability, it might get a 3, maybe a 3, which is a little bit lower than what most of them are going to get because of that issue I had with the legs, but that was my own fault. That wasn't a problem with this. But even back then, ball joints were used because those are metallic ball joints put into that plastic. Yeah, 3. Overall, this version of Soundwave is a 3 maybe a 3. Nothing to get excited about, but it was pretty exciting at the time. Then I'm kind of showing these in order of when I got them, to be honest with you. Then I got this guy, Bumblebee. And I'm going to just say it now. And I still have his blaster, you'll notice. I'm going to say it now. One of the best looking Bumblebees we ever got. This was very accurate, I felt, to the animation. Decent head sculpt, kind of big on the body, but decent. I'll take his blaster out. Decent head sculpt, kind of big on the body. He had the black shoulders, the yellow arms, the black legs. He had the hood as his feet. Come on, it's Bumblebee. And he came with, well, you just saw the blaster in his hand, and it's this like fluorescent yellow. I don't know why. And he also came with another piece, I guess you'd call it. And this other piece was a backpack. That was his partner. And you could hit that button and it extends a little bit, and there's a hole at the top here, and you can close up the rotors, and you can put the little gun into the hole at the top like that, and it gives him a huge blaster. Now there's a 5mm peg here. That doesn't fit in his hand. He has to hold it by the 3mm, which results in him holding it like this. That doesn't look good. But I found that happened a lot back in the day. It really did. So we take that out. And take that out and open this up. And when we open this up, now we can use the 5mm peg, and it goes into his back. And sits like that as a backpack. Now, I defy anybody, anywhere to tell me that the relatively recent version that we got of him isn't heavily influenced by this guy. I think that they both, in their own way, look great. I really do. I love the way that they look next to each other. I feel like the paint on the Action Master Bumblebee, that's a 10. That is a 10, because it is just a little bit better than this guy. But this guy came with Blaze Master. Blaze Master can, conceivably, plug into his back and... Let's see if I can show it like this. Come on. Come on. Tell me that's not a throwback to the Action Master. Definitely, it definitely is. So, yeah, paint apps for this guy, a 10. It is Bumblebee, all to pieces. Transformation, big fat goose egg again, a 0. Posability, playability. Now all of them have the same posability, playability. The head can go all the way around. It doesn't look up or down. The arms can go all the way around at the shoulder. All the way around at the shoulder. No elbow, no in and out movement. The legs could go all the way forward, and they can go all the way back. They could do full splits out to the side, and they had, if you could get the legs back down after you've done the full splits out to the side, a knee. All in all, probably a 4, which was good for the time. A posability of 4 was pretty great for the time. Overall, this Bumblebee's, he's a 4. At best. He's a 4 because he looks the part even though he can't transform. Now, I used to kind of fake it again, where I turn the head around and I take the legs and bend them up and under, and I put the arms down by the side and say, that's kind of a car, because here's a roof. And he'd kind of go around like this. It was really stretching it. And it was definitely trying to be creative as a kid. But that was Bumblebee, and I was glad to have him because, again, I never had a proper Bumblebee as a kid. Never had a proper Bumblebee as a kid. I just wasn't really drawn to the character, I guess. And then we got a brand new character. This guy, Rad. Rad, because he's rad, apparently. Same articulation. His paint-ups, we have no frame of reference. This guy wasn't in the program. His posability, playability is still about a 4. It's the exact same with the head able to go all the way around, the shoulders all the way around, the legs out to the side and forward and back and knee. Transformation still a zip, so he's still about a 4. But he looked kind of cool, and I believe the idea behind the color scheme was used later on. Maybe during the Unicron trilogy it was used for someone. And he came with Lionizer. I don't know where Lionizer is gone. I have no idea. He just sort of up and vanished. I don't know. 4. I wish I could remember who it was. I don't know, he kind of has that card chest maybe. Like, there's no real indication of what this guy was even supposed to be. I'm assuming he would probably fall in line with, let's say, characters like Blue Streak, Prowl, Smokescreen, those sort of guys, maybe. We'll take him out of it. By the way, I showed the Generations Bumblebee really quickly there, and I took a full look at him back in episode 114 if you are interested in seeing that. So from there, we pretty much headed toward, after having those 3, we pretty much headed toward the holiday season. I do remember that, and I got a few that year for Christmas, and the first one that I got that year, in my stocking actually, I got him in my stocking, was this guy. This was the Action Master Shockwave. Again, same posability, so this guy is like a 4 for that, I guess. His coloring, I never really understood the orange here or on his blaster. This, by the way, is the paint scheme that inspired the recent Combiner Wars release of the Legends class Soundwave that came with the G2 Bruticus set. It's supposed to be inspired by this. And it's the first time that they've done it since. And I think that was a great homage to this figure, to be honest with you. But because he has the orange, honestly, I give his paint about about a 9 overall. He does have the yellow eye, which is cool, but about a 9 overall. Again, transformation is 0. I would fake it by putting his arms straight up and bending him at the waist, and there you go. There's a, you know, cannon type of mode. Again, creativity of a child. I don't have that Legends Shockwave just because I feel like that was way too small. Even this guy is a bit too small, but here's my version of Shockwave that I have and that I love. And I took a full look at this guy back in number 104, episode 104. But yeah, this guy was great. He had a great purple, and he came with another little partner, this thing, whatever that thing is supposed to be. I think all of these had a name. I don't know if they were partners or accessories or what they were, to be perfectly honest with you. I feel like they probably had names. I feel like this guy, his was something silly, like, you know, it was like something to do with kicking because he has no legs, or something to do with punching because he has no hands, or fighting. I don't know. I can't remember now. Anyway, apparently I do remember that apparently he was supposed to be pretty violent. Doesn't really look like he would be. But this guy also could transform to become a weapon. You'd push the head back, and when you push the head back, this little center of his body would come out. You would fold up these feet, and there's another little 3mm peg here. By the way, because these are 3mm, they could work with like C-clips for more modern figures. You know, I'm just throwing it out there for anybody interested in using these little partners with more updated figures. And for some reason, he actually has 2 of those 3mm ones here. I guess because depended on what hand you wanted to put them in. And I can't see him. It's because it's black, see? And the black plastic is difficult to see, to do anything with. But there you go. And that's you know, I don't know why Shockwave would need it. His other hand is a blaster, but oh, okay. There you go. That's that. And that Shockwave outfit. Then I was also very happy to get this guy. This is Jazz, and he has a skateboard. 'Cause that was really cool at the time. I don't know why he has this skateboardy thing, but it rolls. Again, transformation, a zip, but I would fake it with him as well. Kind of like Bumblebee, I'd put the legs up and fold them up behind and turn his head around because now he had a hood for a chest. Put those down. Again, articulation exactly the same. Head is, that's a 4. His paint apps are actually only about a 6 or a 7 because I mean his head should be black, not blue. There are liberties taken here, but I will say this: I feel like that the Fall of Cybertron Deluxe Class Jazz is really, move him over, it really has a color scheme based on this guy with the blue head, for example. And you know, you have some missing red paint apps going right down the leg, the front of his leg largely being white, just like that one. So I feel like it might have been a nod to this incarnation of Jazz. Now this could transform as well. You would use the little button back here and it would pop out a couple of cannon nozzles there, and you would turn this on the side and turn the whole thing around, and you could put it in his hand, and he had a really big kind of blaster thing, gun thing. Or you could take it off and this could be a shield, and this one could still go plugged in on this side. I used to do this one a lot. I thought this was really cool. He had a shield and a blaster. I thought that was really cool. So I think Jazz had one of the more fun accessories, let's say. I really do. I think he had one of the really fun accessories. Then I got this. I guess it was some sort of a deluxe thingy. It came with Starscream. I have no idea where Starscream has disappeared. But I will say this. Starscream, by the way, Jazz, because of the poor paint, overall he's about a 5 or, well, no, overall he's about a 3 because the paint is really off on him. I'm going to just discuss the paint apps for the Starscream using my custom FOC Starscream, who I did take a full look at back in episode 112. The one that came with this thing, it had a dark gray, if not black face, and a light gray head, so totally reversed. The upper arms were blue, the lower arms were black. The little tiny wing pieces that came off of his arms were also blue, so all that was messed up. The center of his body was okay. His lower legs, as I recall, were again blue and black. It didn't look like Starscream at all, to be honest with you. Obviously, his transformation was a 0, and obviously his posability was exactly the same. That Starscream was a 3 or a 4. You know, a 3 or a 4. But he was the leader of my Decepticon group because I never had a Starscream or a Megatron. I know, there are people out there gasping. Now, using Shockwave just to sit in here, he did sit on this thing like this. That's the way Starscream would have sat on this thing to use it. And there were pegs that his hands could go down over. I think, was it? Maybe, I don't remember now. Maybe there weren't pegs. Maybe there weren't pegs. Maybe there weren't pegs. But this was this thing as a cannon embankment thing, I guess. But this could actually transform. You would take off this piece down here, and an entire nose cone would flip out. These wings would come down, and this whole back piece would flip back and lock in, and then you would take this little piece again and come down underneath here, and you would make sure that this tire was out and that this little rounded notch section went up under the nose cone, and you would do your best to stick the 3mm peg into the little port, which honestly was really difficult to do. It didn't really particularly want to go in there. A lot of times I would just leave it off. Anyway, I'm leaving it off because it does not want to go in there now. I think Honestly, I think I got the peg kind of ruined. I think I kind of like squatted out of shape, which is a bit unfortunate, but hey, if I lost Starscream anyway, then does it really matter? And again, Starscream, using, you know, Shockwave again here to help illustrate, Starscream would go on like this and fly it, I guess. You know, it is what it is. All of these basically are somewhere between, you know, a 3, a 4, 5, or 6 for what they are. Honestly, if you want your Transformers to transform, this line was not for you. And the last one that I have to show off here is a guy who has actually become a pretty classic character now, and that's Bonsaitron. Apparently he was a ninja. There is no indication of what this guy turns into, but since he's a Decepticon, I used to always pretend he was a plane, and to fake a transformation, I'd put his arms out, I'd put his legs out, and there you go, you had a plane, right? Sometimes I'd put his arms back like this, and plane. That's a plane. Don't judge me. But you know, his color scheme is so very late 80s, early 90s. It's gloriously awful with the bright green and orange, the neon green and orange, and maybe even a bit of yellow, and then mix that against the gray. And he came with this little weird little thing. You can put him up like this, but he's supposed to be down like this, sort of a scorpion type of mode thing, I guess, I suppose. Whatever. And again, this guy would be able to change. You would pull back on this whole purple section here. This would flip out. These would flip down, and you were... A lot of times I would just turn these up, but you're supposed to take them out, and there are ports up top here, and you put that one in. Wasn't even doing it in the right spot. Yeah, you would put them in ports up top, just like that, and of course there's a little peg down here, 2 little pegs, because again it depends on which hand you want to put it in, because it's not really going to fit across his body super well. And there's his blaster thing. Now this guy, these colors, the idea of him has actually been used a few times now. And honestly, when this line came out, I thought that this guy was pretty cool. I mean, come on, a Decepticon ninja, but I always hated the name Banzai-Tron. I don't dig that at all. Still, articulation being exactly the same, 0 for transformation, about 4 for articulation. His paint is gloriously awful. I absolutely love it. It gets an 8. Again, overall he's about a 3 or a 4. These guys, this line is only slightly better than, let's say, the Titan Masters. And the only reason that they're slightly better is because the arms can actually go all the way around, and the legs are not joined together and can split out to the side. Oddly, this wasn't the best line. A lot of people blame it for kind of ending that G1 era, but there is a group of people out there, a group of collectors who absolutely positively love these guys. And I can understand why. As a kid, I did too. I had hours of fun with them. Maybe you did too. Who knows? Should you go hunt them down now? Well, it's up to you. I mean, you got to be cool with the gimmick and the backstory that they lost their ability to transform. And you got to be cool with the idea that you're getting a transformer that doesn't transform. If you're not cool with that, don't hunt these guys down. Anyway, that's it. A look back at the Action Master line. There were some other great representations in it, like Devastator and Megatron and Optimus and Grimlock, and the list goes on and on. But these were the ones that I had, and I did love them dearly because in a lot of cases they were the only representations of those characters that I had as a kid. Plus, you know what? They were small, they were affordable on a blister card, and at best I think they were like maybe $7, $8, $99. I don't remember now. They were pretty cheap. It was a glorious idea. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for having a visit. You know that I appreciate it, and I can't wait for the next time that we get together for another visit right here inside the videos.